Good morning, everyone. I hope that you are having a great Monday morning. I think it's Monday, and I pray God's blessing you today. Uh, as I was reading through my Bible reading plan, I've mentioned before, and I highly recommend this plan. There are other great plans. This one is called F260, and it is by Replicate Ministries out of Long Hollow Baptist Church in Nashville, Tennessee. That's where Brother Dustin is doing his church planning training and everything right now. But they came up with a Bible reading plan. They have devotional books and stuff that go with it, but you can just get a app on your phone if you want, and that's what I do. I just have the app, and they recommend a style of journaling called HEAR journaling, HEAR. It's an acronym that basically means highlight. So you would highlight a verse, explain it, E, apply it to your life, A, and then respond in prayer and by living. Okay, so that's what I've been doing. So my reading today was in 2 Thessalonians and chapters 1 through 3. And one of the verses in the first chapter kind of jumped out at me this morning, and I wanted to share that with you, and just some thoughts I was having about this. So in 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 3, Paul's beginning his letter here, and he's doing his thanksgiving like he always does in most of his letters. He does not do it in Galatians. He's kind of upset in Galatians, but that's a different lesson for a different day. But here in verse 3, he says, "We ought to always to give thanks to God for you, brothers, as is right, because your faith is growing abundantly, and the love of every one of you for one another is increasing." So that kind of just caught me this morning. How you grow abundantly in your faith? I've just been thinking about that. The not the problem, I guess the rub or the difficulty in this verse is that a lot of times we don't grow in our faith unless we are in some sort of unpleasant circumstance. You know what I'm saying? If things are going well, we tend to be a little more stagnant in our faith, but we almost need some type of unpleasant circumstance to make us dig deeper into the Lord. So I've just been thinking about that this morning, and just praying that God would help us grow abundantly in our faith. The other thing about growing in faith that is difficult is it's easier. My first thought in this was this: it's easier to grow in the knowledge of the Lord than it is to grow in faith, because faith requires often difficulty, and it's experiential. A large part of it is experiential. So we grow in our faith as we experience life with God, and we see God come through over and over and over again in our lives, and that just builds our faith. So sometimes it can be a little more difficult to grow in our faith, I think, than it can to grow in our knowledge, our Sunday school knowledge of the Lord. So I've been thinking about that. And then the other one was just making sure that we're continuing to love one another. So that was my devotional thought this morning. I've been chewing on that. I want to remind you of a couple of things we have coming up here at Mount Gilead, some things we're trying to do. We're trying to honor our senior adults. So while we're not meeting together, because this Sunday is Senior Adult Day, you can see I've been staining shutters. You can see I did not do a good job cleaning up. So how do we honor our senior adults? Well, we got together, and somebody thought of this idea. So what we're doing is doing little miniature interviews with our senior adults, and we're asking them 3 questions, and we're asking that you would tag Mount Gilead Baptist Church in that. So the tag for Mount Gilead is at MGBC Dothan. Okay. So if you would share that on your Facebook page, if you are a child or grandchild of a senior adult in our church, and they're not on the Facebook and all that kind of stuff, you could interview them and post that for them. So, and this is just a way for us to honor our senior adults. It's a way for us to glean some godly wisdom from them, and just hear from some voices that we don't always get to hear from. So you see me and Brother Bradley, Brother Nolan, and Brother Josh, Brother Danny. You see us all the time, but this is a way for us to learn from some people who have grown in their faith as they've walked with the Lord for a number of years. So you can see the 3 questions here. Why do you love Jesus? Why do you love Mount Gilead? And give us a piece of godly wisdom that you would like to share with your church family. So we've got that going on. We need to get those in this week if we could do that. And then the other exciting thing that I wanted to share with you is we are planning a drive-in service for Mother's Day. That's May the 10th. Okay, now, if you'll notice, there aren't many details with this right now. Okay, and that's because we have some other factors that we have to hear from first before we plan out all the details of our drive-in service. So at a minimum, it will look similar to what we did for Easter, where we drive in our cars and we will set up just like that. A lot of this and our plans depend on what the governor says this weekend, or I think this Friday or something like that. So we'll get back with you on some details. So we're trying to figure out, and just being transparent here, we're trying to figure out a good time, because we don't want to interfere with Sunday school, because that's kind of 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So do we have the drive-in service earlier? Do we have it later? So we're talking about these things as a staff. And what does a drive-in service look like? Well, that all depends on what the governor says this Friday. Okay, so be patient with us as we're waiting for some information that would help us make a good decision, a better decision on how we could possibly come together. But we will be doing something on Mother's Day. So I want you to go ahead and put that in your calendar. Go ahead and plan for that. That on May 10th, that's 2 weeks. So on May 10th, we will have another coming together in a drive-in service of some kind. Okay, so and when we figure everything out, and we will get with you on Facebook here. We will send out remind messages and things like that. Which brings up another point. Some of our folks still do not have Remind, and still do not have Facebook accounts, and that's okay. But if you know of some of those folks, if you wouldn't mind helping spread the word and communicating to them, okay, that would be a great way for you to just call someone and check on them and love on them, and it'd also be a great way to help us as a staff make sure that we're communicating to as many people as we can. Okay, so you guys have a great Monday. Let's get after it today. Let's glorify the Lord with our lives and our love for other people. And I pray that you have a wonderful, wonderful day. We love you. Y'all be blessed. Thank you.